All right, so hi, Holly. We are doing a course on morning sickness and how to find and clear beliefs, disconnections, anything that is causing morning sickness. And morning sickness can be a really big drag, and it's no fun at all. And so we're going to be working on how you yourself can find those things, clear those things, in order to really, do this course. You'll need, good intuition, maybe some muscle testing skills, either or. If you can't muscle test well, you'll need some good intuition. Be familiar with energy work so that you know what you're doing here. And I'm just going to dive right in, like what actually causes morning sickness. So there's several different reasons why people might have morning sickness. And I will tell you this, I had 6 babies before I learned that I could clear morning sickness. So my last 7 and 8, I was able to have like a little morning sickness and then clear it. So I can't say I had none because I had some, but I was able to clear it right away. That was phenomenal because from about week 7 to week 12, I just kind of lay around on the couch for a few hours of the day being miserable and like, oh, I wish my husband was home. This is so stinky. And I thought that's just, that's just part of pregnancy. If you can just get through those, 5 or 6 weeks, then you should be good. And for some women, it literally lasts like their entire pregnancy. They're in the hospital with dehydration. They can't keep anything down. And it's bad, right? And so if that has been your experience, Holly, or anyone who watches this, that's sad, but it's fixable. Like there's something you can do for that. Which is amazing because you don't have to like, well, I wanted like 6 kids, but I'm only going to have 2 because this is so bad, right? You don't have to deal with that. So what are some of the root causes of morning sickness? So the first one, and I think probably the biggest one for most women, is disconnection from the baby. So if you're physically or spiritually disconnected from the baby in any way, it causes morning sickness. And so you could have like your mind is disconnected from their placenta, or their placenta is disconnected from your physical body, or their amniotic fluid is disconnected from the mother's spirit, or the mother's spirit is disconnected from the fetus itself, whatever. So there's like several disconnections you have to look for and then check, okay, am I all connected up in all of these areas? If so, and you're still feeling morning sickness, then you might check some other things, right? So the next reason why sometimes we have morning sickness is you're not grounded. So checking for being grounded, that's super important. Also, you might not even have a grounding mechanism present in your body. It may have fled. If that's the case, you can ground yourself as much as you want. You're like, I walk on the grass every day barefoot or whatever. But if your grounding mechanism has fled for some reason, usually due to some kind of trauma, then, you're not going to be able to stay grounded. So finding, checking that. Do I have a grounding mechanism? Is it present in my body? Is it turned on? Is it functioning? Okay, if all of that is the case, then I'm going to ground. And if I'm grounded, then I should be good to go. So then the next thing you want to check is for fears. And, fears of like pregnancy is hard, it hurts, fear of the actual labor and birth, fear of your body getting big and fat and having to, you know, change body image, like, oh no, now it's going to take me a while to get back down, or any of that kind of fears plays into it. Fears that you won't be a good enough mom, all of those types of worries and fears can cause nausea and morning sickness as well. And then just beliefs in general, like the belief that pregnancy is just supposed to be hard, or everybody experiences morning sickness, or sometimes people have a belief that, like, if I don't, I can't stand up to all these other women who do. For example, every woman in my family has like the worst morning sickness. I have to be like them. I mean, if I'm not like them, then there's something wrong with me, right? No, that's awesome. You're really lucky. You're really blessed. You don't have to be like them, right? But sometimes there's this innate desire in us as humans to be like everybody else. I have to be like all of the, you know, people around me so I can fit in. So when everyone gets together and they're telling their birth stories, then you have to tell your horror birth story, or you're not one of them, right? So you have to have a horror birth story so that you can be one of them. Clearing all those kinds of false beliefs and things, no, you don't have to do that. You can have a great, fine, healthy pregnancy, a pain-free birth, all of that. If you want that, you can manifest that. Okay, then PTSD or any kind of trauma is another thing you're going to have to check for. If you've had previous births, or maybe your own birth was really traumatic and you've heard stories, or your spirit just remembers that, right? So you'd have to clear that, because that also is going to come into play and it can cause sickness. If in previous pregnancies you've had morning sickness, sometimes our body has like this ability to store those sickness memories. And it's like, oh, I remember this, I'm supposed to be sick. And then you feel all of this sickness again, even though you don't have to feel sick and there's no reason for it, but you're just replaying an old sickness. And it doesn't, I mean, it's not just morning sickness. It could be a flu, it could be a cold, it could be a car accident, you know, pain in your knee. Every time you run, you have pain in your knee, but there's no physical reason for it, right? That's a memory sickness, and we can find those kinds of traumas, clear all of that, so we don't have morning sickness. Another thing to look for is nutrient deficiencies. You know, maybe we're deficient in a vitamin or a mineral or something. Iron is low. We don't have enough B12. We don't have magnesium, etc. So looking for nutrient deficiencies. Are we hydrated properly? Are we able to absorb the water we're taking in? Because sometimes we're like, I drink almost a gallon of water a day. Why am I dehydrated? Because something in your body is not allowing you to absorb and utilize the water. So finding that, clearing that, and checking on that. Two more. Toxins can cause morning sickness. Like maybe you're around a lot of toxic things. Maybe some of the skin care or hair care, cosmetics, like those are, most of them are full of toxins. Maybe you live in a home with mold. Maybe you have like termites or cockroaches, and so every few months they're coming in and spraying for those things. Or you live next to a field where they spray for I can't think, glyphosate, right? Or the Roundup all over the fields, and it's getting into your water, etc. Any of those toxins and stuff, that can also have a huge effect on your pregnancy, on your ability to feel healthy and enjoy pregnancy without feeling morning sick. And then the last one is any other deficiencies. So maybe you have a color deficiency. Maybe you don't have enough blue in your life. Maybe you don't have enough orange. I know I've found that I have a color deficiency with orange because I grew up in a log home, and it was all orangey, and I hated it. Like every picture that we would take had like this orangey glow, and I was like, no, when I get married and I have my own home, it's not going to have like any wood accents, no orange. So I have tons of wood accents, but they're all white, like, or painted. Like my doors are painted white or gray, or, you know, the trim on my walls is like a different color. It's wood, but it's not that like orangey color. So like even the wooden arm of this chair is painted because I hated that. Well, now I'm like, I have an orange deficiency because nothing in my home is orange. Like I don't decorate with orange, etc. So that's okay. You know, put on an orange shirt, look at an orange, you know, picture, watch a movie with lots of orange in it, etc. You know, you can get more of those colors in your life, and that sometimes will stabilize you, because we need all of the colors, but they emit frequencies that we need. So you could have a deficiency like that. You could have a deficiency of like, maybe you need some kind of Bach flower remedy, or a gemstone like rose quartz or carnelian or something, agates, etc. And there's, you know, maybe you need to just have some kind of extra, you know, another frequency, like some magnets or something, right? So you'd check for any other deficiencies. You know, once you've exhausted the list of other things, like, okay, I'm still feeling morning sickness. Are there any other deficiencies that I'm still having? And once you've found all of that, you should be free and clear of morning sickness. And then you may have to, like, you know, install some new beliefs and stuff like that, but the root cause should be cleared and eliminated. So that is the reasons I've found and I've come across that we have morning sickness in our pregnancies. It's not just a fact of life. Everybody has to have it. I remember meeting a lady that said, like, pregnancy is my favorite time of life. I love being pregnant. I don't really like raising my kids, but I love being pregnant. I was like, what? She's crazy. I love my kids, but my goodness, I do not like being pregnant. It's horrible, you know. She's just like, it's my favorite time of life. And that kind of opened my eyes to think, so people have a pregnancy that doesn't hurt, that isn't, you know, aches and pains and awful. And then when I started learning the body code and training in that, I learned that you could clear morning sickness. And I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to do this. And so when I got pregnant, I don't know, it was a few months later, I started having morning sickness, and my husband also is a body code practitioner. So he was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's try this. So he's working on me, and I think I had 3 mornings where I had morning sickness. We worked on it. He cleared it. It was gone. And then the next pregnancy, I just did it myself. I was like, oh, thanks, honey. I know how to do this. And that was phenomenal. So yeah, like, you do not have to suffer with it. I learned that you can clear it. But with the second pregnancy, what was interesting is I had cleared the disconnections, and I was like, oh, yay, okay, great. And I still had some morning sickness. And I'm like, what is going on? I cleared all these disconnections. I'm grounded. I don't know what's happening. And I realized I had a bunch of like fears and beliefs, and I didn't really believe that that like I could have, you know, what I wanted in a pregnancy. And so as I started to clear those and believe and understand like what God says about pregnancy and how I can believe and understand, and then put that into practice in my life. Like, if God says pregnancy doesn't have to be hard and difficult, then why am I making it that way, right? because I believe that. Okay, well then let's clear that belief. Clear the belief. No more morning sickness. So my friend was like, she had told me this before, but she's like, you really just need to read this little book. It's like so short, just read it. It's called Supernatural Childbirth. And I'm like, okay, like another book, but I love books. I read a lot, but I always have like a huge stack of books that I'm reading simultaneously. And so I was like, okay, I'll get to it. But then I really felt like, no, I need to do that now because this morning sickness isn't going away. I need to read that. So I read it. It's like, you can listen to it in like 2 hours on Audible. And it was phenomenal. And I learned all sorts of things from that book. And then once I worked through those things and clearing some more beliefs, then my morning sickness went away. So, and other people I've worked with, sometimes it's toxins, sometimes it's nutrient deficiencies, etc. For me, it was just the disconnections and the belief stuff, the fears and the beliefs. But for some people, it's totally different, and it could be much more intense. So for anyone who wants to try to figure it out and work on it themselves, this course is for them, because sure, I can do it for you. Another body code worker or whatever, any kind of energy worker could clear morning sickness for you, but then you're dependent on them, and you're having to pay them to fix you when you can fix it yourself, right? So that's what this course is about. So what I want to do now is just like kind of a little demo of how to find and clear morning sickness. So I don't know, Holly, if you are feeling any morning sickness currently, but if so, let's work on that.
Okay. I feel a little bit. I had it really strong this morning, but I've just been trying to work on it all day. But you give me lots more tips and tools that I didn't even think to tap into.
Right.
Like you brought up a couple of like flags that I thought, oh, I didn't even think to clear that, and that rang true to me that I should probably like work on that.
Right.
Because it definitely waves, and it definitely hits at certain times. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. And sometimes one I forgot to mention is, it's part of beliefs, but I have had clients who their belief is like, if I'm sick, I get attention and I want attention. And so even if that's not their conscious belief, if it's their subconscious belief, like my husband has to pay attention to me because I'm sick, or my husband has to help me with the kids, or my mom or my sister or friend or whatever has to come help because I'm so sick. Oh, poor me, I'm the sick girl. I need that, help. And it's totally understandable because when you feel sick, like you really do want some love and support and someone to come help you out. But if you feel like the only way you can get that love and support and attention is by being sick, then you're bringing your own problem on yourself, right? So
so last night I felt really sick and I had to ask the question, is this serving me? And I got a yes, and it was that I just didn't want to deal with life. I didn't want to wash the dishes. I didn't want to clean up and put the kids to bed. And I thought, I'm making myself sick because I don't want to deal with everyday life. And I thought, okay, then I can't blame anybody because this is on me, like you're saying. So there's been a couple times where I had to call myself out on it because I'm like, oh, that is totally all me.
Right.
So
right. Yeah.
That's what I want to bring attention because.
Yeah. It's not like, it doesn't make you like a bad person or anything, but it is something, a self-awareness that we have to look at. Like, am I doing this to myself because, and I've seen that in lots of women, they have really rough pregnancies because the only time that they get support in their minds, or in the way that because of the boundaries that they've established, they have not learned how to ask for help and support, and so they then have a really rough pregnancy so they can demand the help and support that they have premature babies, or they have to be on bed rest the whole time, or whatever, and that is just really sad, because it doesn't have to be like that for them. They can learn how to get the attention and love and support that they need in a healthy way that feels good for them and isn't difficult for their husband, their kids. And I've had lots of men say, like, oh yeah, my wife is just horrible when pregnancy is just so bad, I don't think we can do this again. And they're the ones who are adamant about no more kids. And you're like, you're not even the one who has to have them. And they're like, yeah, but I have to take care of my wife when she's pregnant, and it's so bad, right? And like, that's really sad, because the wife feels like she has to make his life miserable, or their marriage, or their kids' life, the whole family's life miserable, in order to get the love and treatment that she feels she needs. So clearing those fears and worries and beliefs, and I can only get support if my pregnancy is hard, like any of that kind of stuff, clear it. You can get support anytime you want support. You just have to have good communication, set those boundaries, let your spouse know, or whoever, your caregiver, your friend, your mom, your sister, whoever it is, let them know, these are, things that I need, and here's, what I, desire, and you manifest that. And then if they don't meet those expectations, you let them know, but you can't demand it of them, because it's just, you can't set boundaries on other people, only on yourself. If they're not treating you the way that you feel is appropriate, then you say, here's the steps I'm going to take, not here's what you have to do. If your spouse was like yelling at you or swearing at you, you can't swear at me. Yes, he can. He just showed you he can, right? But if you don't like that, you don't say, you can't swear at me. You say, excuse me, I'm leaving, because I don't allow that, in my ears, whatever. You take that step. You can't kick him out. You can't, you can tell him to leave, whatever, but maybe he chooses not to. You don't have to do that. You can just say, I'm going to leave. When you're ready to talk to me in a respectful way, I'll be back, etc. So setting those appropriate boundaries to get the support and the love and the care that you feel is important. All those things are super important, and we'll kind of cover those in this. So first of all, let's check and see if you're grounded. We'll do that. I kind of want to have you check, and like, if you want me to back that up, like with my intuition, I can do that. Otherwise, we'll just have you go through and kind of check and see, okay, am I grounded? Okay, do I have dehydration, etc. Like, just, we probably won't get through the whole list, but whatever comes up today as the cause for your morning sickness, we'll find that, we'll clear that, etc.
Okay. I find that I'm really hard to work on myself. But okay, I'll try. Okay, am I grounded? I get yes. But have you ever had to ground the baby too? Like, do you do that too, or do you just work on the mom?
Yeah, if there keeps being a disconnection, I keep finding like grounding coming up, but the mom tests as she's grounded, then I check the baby. Is the baby grounded? Because sometimes the baby's not grounded. And I find that sometimes there are babies who hover in between. There's some babies who it's like they come into the womb and they stay there, like their spirit's just there, like consistently. And then I find that there's other babies that just kind of hover in, like, I'm not sure I want to be on earth yet. I'll come when I come out, like, and they're they're like they're connected to that body, but they're not like actually inhabiting it consistently. Please go away. I'm doing a phone call, okay? And don't bang on the door. Go on. No, go see Daddy. I mean, David. Okay, so I'm like, wait, Daddy's not home. Go see your older brother.
I have a question. For me, the concept of grounding a spiritual being is really hard for me. I know that they're forming a body, but they're not quite intact yet. So grounding them feels uncomfortable is
Right.
like the word I would describe. Like,
you're not going to ground their spirit, because their spirit should have the ability to, come and go.
yeah.
But you're going to ground the little body that's forming, so that when they are,
Okay.
that little body that's forming is grounded, is connected to the earth, because it is a part of the earth. It's here. It's forming. It's made of physical matter, right? It needs to be grounded. And if they are scared, if they've picked up on your beliefs, your fears, your worries, etc., they could, not want to be here, not want to be grounded. If they're terrified of birth, like, oh my gosh, it's going to be so bad, because they can feel that from us, right? And if we're terrified, then they're going to pick up on that emotion, and that might have to be cleared and worked on for them. So yeah, if you feel like you are grounded, check and see if baby's grounded.
Okay, yeah, we're both grounded.
Okay.
Now that you clarified that, it's so easy. But before, I was afraid to ground myself because I felt like I was messing something up.
Yeah.
I don't know. But that makes sense. We're both grounded and it felt good.
Good. Awesome. Okay. So then let's check and see if there's any disconnections between you and baby. And I'm just going to pull up the body code app just so I don't miss any disconnections. So disconnections you're looking for, let's check your brain first. Make sure your brain is connected to all the parts of the baby. So the first thing you're going to do is ask, is my brain connected to the spirit baby's body, physical body?
Yes.
Okay. Is your brain connected to the baby's spirit?
No.
So
I'm doing intuition thing, so I don't know if you want to double check my work.
let me. Okay, yeah, I'm getting a no. So then we just ask, like, is there a reason for that? If there's no reason, we can just reconnect it. If there's a reason, we have to clear the reason, then reconnect. So let's see. Is there a reason for your brain to not be connected to the baby's spirit? I'm getting a yes.
I get a yes.
Yeah, I get a yes. And it feels like what's coming is like it has to do with a belief, like that some kind of belief that you're not supposed to be connected to their spirit somehow.
Yeah, this concept is so foreign to me. I have always treated pregnancy as it's just something that happens. Like, and I don't need to understand it. I don't need to know. It just happens and I just follow it, and it's just, you get morning sickness, you have a baby, and it's awful, the whole pregnancy. And so I'm like, it's really hard for me to understand, like you talking about grounding the baby's physical body. All of a sudden that brought a connection between me and the baby that I haven't felt. And I thought, oh, that makes sense, because I am forming an actual human being in my body.
Right.
But it's such a spiritual experience for me. It's all happening in heaven in my mind. I don't know. Okay, so this makes sense. It's just hard to into thoughts.
No, that's good, because I feel
so
that's where the problem is, right? Like that disconnection of like, No, there's actually a being growing inside of me. Like, it's not just, sorry, but like, it's like, there you go. It's emotion
Okay,
sensitive.
so I just want,
Go
do
ahead.
I replace it with a positive then
Yeah,
to
well,
clear it? I just,
yeah, you can just breathe that out, like breathe out that belief or, disconnection. And then just to reconnect, you're just going to put that intention, like, I am connecting my brain to my baby's spirit. So, like, their spirit body,
okay.
their physical body, they're two separate things, and I'm connecting my brain to both of them. Okay, so once you do that and you just kind of like breathe that intention in, then we can just check, and I'm getting that you're connected there. So that's good. Okay, so then let's check if your brain is connected to the fetus. I get a yes. The amniotic fluid, yes. Placenta, umbilical cord, yeah. You're connected to all those physical features of the baby. So then we check your spirit. So is your spirit connected to those things? And it's interesting how you said, like, your brain, your brain is like, no, it's all happening like somewhere else. That's different than like your spirit. Your spirit might be completely aware of where it's happening and what's going on, or it could be disconnected too. But there's a difference between your brain and your spirit, because your brain's kind of like your conscious self, and your spirit's more like your subconscious self. Okay, so is your spirit, you're just gonna, use intuition here, is your spirit connected to the baby's spirit? Yeah.
Yes.
Is your spirit connected to the baby's body, the fetus?
I get a no.
Okay. So in order to connect that, we check. Is there a reason for that disconnection?
I get a maybe. So that means maybe not.
Yeah, I'm getting a no for that. So then we're just going to connect it. Okay. So just set that intention. I'm connecting my spirit to the baby's fetus. Okay, so so that disconnection is cleared. So then check, is your spirit connected to the baby's amniotic fluid?
Is my spirit connected to the amniotic fluid?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And is your spirit connected to the placenta?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm getting a yes too. And then is your spirit connected to the umbilical cord? Yeah, I'm getting
like
I'm getting it like, no, not quite. So something like my intuition's saying, like, there's something about the umbilical cord and being tied, like, to somebody else, like there's like a disconnect there, like it doesn't feel right to be like tied to somebody else. And so we'll have to see what that is and see if we can clear it. So we have cords to people, like lots of cords to different people, healthy cords and unhealthy cords. Mothers usually have healthy cords with their kids, but sometimes they have unhealthy cords. Sometimes they have both. Actually, usually they have both. But if you have a cord to your child because you want to control them, because you want to, always know where they are, because you're always worried about them, you fear for them, etc. It's like parents give their kids a cell phone so they have a leash so they can like know where the kid's at all the time, etc. That's kind of a sign of like, I mean, not the kid having a cell phone, but the kid having a cell phone because the parents want to know where they are all the time. That's a sign of the parents have an unhealthy cord and a fear and a worry that I have to always, hover and know where my kid's at and what they're doing, etc. So just sit with that and see like what comes up for you, for why your spirit is kind of rejecting this idea of being corded or connected or tied to something else.
Like, I don't know if this is right, but my last pregnancy, my miscarriage, I don't want to get too connected because I'm afraid that I'll lose the baby.
Yeah.
And it'll be a devastating blow. I don't know.
Yeah, no, that's something that, like, yep, I'm getting a ding, 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 ding. You hit the nail. So yeah, that's really common, especially for people who have had a loss. They don't want to connect, and so they stop mentally or spiritually, whatever. They stop that connection from forming, as much as they have control over that, right? Because they fear that pain and that loss and that difficulty. Like, oh no, I don't want to lose this. And I found myself starting to do that because we were sort of miscarrying at the same time, and then I ended up keeping the baby. But I was working through that because I was feeling sort of this like, I don't want to connect to this little being, because if I connect to it, then if I lose it, I've been bleeding, and if I lose the baby, then I'll be really sad, and it's better if I just, don't even view it as a baby. It's just, in me, whatever. Like, it was, and then I had to stop that, like, because I felt like, no, if you want to keep this baby, you have to connect to this baby. And so I had to work on that. And then I felt a really strong connection with this baby, even though what was funny is I felt so strongly, my mom felt so strongly, like other people felt really strongly it was a girl. And I even had a name and everything. And he was 12 days late. And I think he was 12 days late because he was like, stop calling me Florence. I'm not a girl. I'm not coming out until you're ready to accept that I am who I am. But I was like, oh, that's okay, because Florence is coming. Like, that's going to be, I'm going to have her at some point. But I felt her, and I felt like her spirit helping with that pregnancy. And I felt really strongly that her mission in life is to help with medical type of things, which is why I felt strongly that her name is supposed to be Florence, like Florence Nightingale. And so I think she was just performing her little mission and helping heal up my body so her brother could be born. But I was so shocked when he was a boy, because I never checked the gender. So when he came out and he was a boy, I was like, what? What? Well, where's Florence? My sister was like, she was so certain. She's like, is there another one in there? I'm like, no. I can feel that there is nothing left inside except the placenta. It was crazy. But sometimes, that like you get a really strong connection, and I felt a really strong connection to the baby and to his sister. So, but at the beginning of the pregnancy, I wanted to, like, because I started bleeding at like 6 weeks. Like, as soon as I found out I was pregnant, I started bleeding. And so I didn't want to didn't want to connect, you know? So yeah, that is definitely what's causing that. So just breathe that out, like that fear of connecting, and then we'll set a new intention there.
For some reason, this is hard.
Yeah.
It's like I don't want to let it go. I don't know.
Right. Right.
Okay.
So maybe like setting the new intention will help to release the fear.
So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to like a new belief, like a new, but I just like I just feel the fear in the back of my mind. My connection with my miscarriage was so strong. Like I've never had a connection that strong. From day one, I just knew that spirit and I knew that. But this connection has never been strong, and I just keep pawning it off. Well, like it's my husband's little spirit, you know, like they'll probably be little buddies, you know, and I just accept that and carry it on as like to feed my insecurity, you know.
Right.
But I just keep trying to build the bond with the baby, which makes sense why there's an umbilical cord that's tied, because I'm trying to feed it. I'm trying to like build that, but at the same time I'm not ready to.
Yeah.
But I need to let go. Okay, so I gotta let it go.
Well, and I think my belief, and this is not, you know, doctrine, whatever, but my personal feeling and belief and understanding is that until a spirit takes the breath of life, they are not tied to that body. So like, let's say you have even a stillbirth, that spirit that was assigned to that body, if it did not take a breath of life, it has the opportunity to come back and get a full functioning body and live in this life. And so I've known tons and heard dozens of stories of ladies who are like, oh, I had a miscarriage, but I know that baby is this child that I had later on, right? And even, you know, like sometimes they have that connection, and they feel super strong with that baby, and then they lose that baby. And I've heard people say, don't worry, you'll get to raise them in the millennium, whatever. And I'm like, you may get to raise them in this life. You may not, because sometimes, you know, they never get pregnant again. They're never able to have that baby. And yeah, then they will raise that baby in the millennium. But sometimes they get pregnant again, and that spirit comes to to that little body next, or 2 or 3 kids later, whatever. But they do get the opportunity to come back and have, you know, so it's like, just because you had a miscarriage doesn't necessarily mean that that spirit's, you know, it doesn't get to come until later, and or you don't get to meet them until later. And that's not to say that you know, that isn't the case, right? But that's just my feeling, is that a lot of women feel like they will never get that baby that they miscarried, and yet it could be one of their next kids. I know my mom had twins twice, that she miscarried one of the twins. So she never actually had twins. But with my sister that was a twin, she miscarried, I think they're 14 months apart. My next sister, my mom was like, I know that was the, you know, the twin of that I lost, that sister. And then my brother, just younger than me, she also miscarried a twin with him, and right after him she had another boy. And she's like, I feel very strongly that that baby was, you know, the twin that I lost. And she had several miscarriages, and she's like, she literally said, I feel like there's still another baby that I never did end up having. And I don't know if I'll raise them in the millennium. I don't know if they'll come down as a grandchild. She's like, maybe that spirit will come down to you or one of my other kids. And, I will help raise them as my grandchild. I don't know. We don't have to know, but it sometimes is comforting and helpful to understand that, like, it may not be a permanent loss, right?
Yeah. I think I cleared it.
Okay. So, yeah, and I'm just totally hypothetical here. I'm not saying this is the case, but if the baby that you lost previously is the same spirit that you currently have, then maybe you already have that connection, but because you're trying to connect to another, the idea of it's a totally different spirit, then you're feeling that disconnection. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So I never thought of it like that.
That's a possibility. I'm not saying that is the case. I'm just saying that's a possibility. Like,
right.
Okay, I had this really strong connection with the last baby, but I can't feel a connection to this baby because you're looking for a new connection to a new spirit. So
yeah, that makes sense. I never thought of it like that. That's a good perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I did. Did I clear it?
Let me see. Yeah, that's cleared.
Okay.
So, yeah, the last thing we're going to check then is if your body is connected. So go ahead and just ask, is your body connected to the baby's spirit?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting a yes. Okay, and then is your body connected to the baby's fetus?
Yes.
Is it connected to the baby's amniotic fluid?
I'm getting like mixed. Sometimes I do this where I get confused. I'm like, I don't know.
Let me
see. It's not a strong yes, but it's not a strong no.
Okay, let me check. I'm getting a yes. It's connected.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to work on yourself, especially I go to my energy worker friends all the time and like, hey, can you help me with this problem? And I know I help everyone else with this, but I can't help myself with it. Like, there's just a block there. So, okay. Then is your body connected to the baby's placenta?
Yes.
Okay.
And I didn't know.
What?
Yes.
A yes?
Yes.
Yes, I get a yes. Okay. And then is your body connected to the baby's umbilical cord?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. So that clears all the disconnections. And the next time that we do a module, we'll check if you're still feeling morning sick, we'll check for other things like fears, beliefs, whatever. But we did the disconnections. That's the things you're going to want to check for, is if your mind, body, and spirit are all connected to the baby.
So if I keep getting morning sickness and I keep doing this, do I have to recheck these things? Or like, because I cleared them, is it?
Yeah, sometimes you can just check like, okay, am I feeling morning sickness because of a disconnection? And if so, yes, okay, then you would check, is it my brain, my body, or my spirit, and then check those things. So you wouldn't have to go through the whole list again, because you could just check, for if it's your brain, okay, well then it's my brain. Is it my body? Okay, then I'll check there. Is it the baby's spirit? Nope. Okay, so then it's a physical feature, etc. So it kind of is a shortcut. But if you get a no, the morning sickness has nothing to do with disconnections, well, then it's, well, then let me check for belief or toxins or whatever other things, right? So that's what we'll do next time, is, check other things, other disconnections, other toxins, anything else that's causing that. But yeah, there's kind of a lot to it, especially for people who have had several pregnancies. Then there's really deep established beliefs, right? That this is how it has to be for me, Oh, well, other people can have a good pregnancy, but for me, it's really bad, And I've had people tell me that, like, well, you had a pain-free birth, but, don't you think that maybe just like the more kids you have, like the easier it gets? And I'm like, no, I don't think that's the case. That's a nice thought, but no, that's not the case, because I literally have to work at it. It's a huge mental exercise to,
Right.
to not, because I had 6 births that hurt. Like, they hurt really bad. My first one was like torture. It was horrible. So I'm not just one of those lucky people who has easy births, right? But but I know that it's possible to overcome that, because I have had 2 pain-free births. That's amazing. But I didn't, I had to have really strong belief and really work through a lot of stuff like this for months, pretty much the entire pregnancy, working through what I wanted, manifesting what I wanted in a birth, before I just, got lucky and the baby popped out and it didn't even hurt. Like, no, that wasn't how it worked. So yeah. So clearing the past things and just, not like forgetting them or saying they didn't really happen or anything like that. You want to acknowledge and validate, but also acknowledge and validate it doesn't have to be that way, right? Like, just because one time you got in a car accident doesn't mean every time you drive in a car, you're going to get in a car accident, right? But some people who had a really bad accident, they might have PTSD and they can't even get in a car, because that belief is so strong that if I get in a car, I'm going to get in another car accident, right? And it's not true, and statistics prove that. But they're so terrified that they won't even get in a car, right? So you have to clear those fears and those worries and those past traumas to be able to get through that all. So how are you feeling now, currently?
I actually feel good, and I haven't eaten for a minute, so I'm doing good.
Yay!
That's amazing.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, so we will do this again. We'll schedule another time to do another Zoom session, and we'll do the second module and go over that. And then we will schedule for the third one, and hopefully we can get it all taken care of and cleared up in 3 modules. If it takes more, that's okay. Like, we'll figure it out. But if we can get it done in 3, awesome. Yay.
Thank you. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks. All right.
Really.
So I'll talk to you later, Holly, and let me know if you need anything else. Okay.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.